Okay, let's go. Let's go. I'm going to show you how to make a simple particle for Deadlock. There's not a lot of like tutorials or anything on this stuff, so hopefully this will be useful to some people. So I've got the windows up here. This is just a particle system window. You can reach it by going up here. This little fire icon. It's gonna open this. We'll start from fresh because it's easier to explain that way. So let's make a new one. Now we got a bunch of stuff here. There's a few things to note about particles. It's basically just code. It's code with an interface. So we have to think kind of, I guess, basic questions like, okay, what are we spawning? Where are we spawning it? When are we spawning it? How long it's gonna be spawning? And that's what all of this is for. So let's go through one by one. We don't need all of this, so I'll just go through like some few. To begin, we want one of these. Usually it's continuous emitter or instantaneous emitter. It depends on what you want to do. Continuous emitter basically says, okay, over this timeline, you want to spawn however amount of particles during that time. But instantaneous is like, okay, burst them all out at the same time in the start. And that's what I'm gonna do now. We'll make like a super simple, I don't know, like impact or something like that. I like a sparkly impact. It's pretty simple. So here we have this node. It says here it's gonna spawn in 100 particles. Under base properties, we can also choose, okay, this is the max particles that can exist in the system. We'll get back to this. Under initializer, we have a lot of things to pick from. I'm going to choose position within sphere. This is like a super good node that is used commonly pretty much everywhere. It basically says, okay, you have, let's zoom out a bit. You have a sphere. You can't really see it right now, but it has a distance. Let's put it like 10. Oh. Now it's, well, instead of being a tiny 0, it's gonna be, I don't know, about this big maybe. I don't know what units they're in, but you'll get a visualization very soon. Position within sphere lets you basically say, okay, where do we spawn our particles? And it also gives you a bunch of parameters for velocity and speed, so we can play with that, which is gonna give like the burst out effect. It's pretty useful for that. Okay, so we have how many to spawn, what kind of like spawner, where it should spawn. Now we should have something to spawn. So let's go into render. Here's also a bunch of stuff. You'll notice it for every node. And don't worry about getting overwhelmed, because there's a lot to pick from. If you're new to it, you're gonna have to like play around and kind of explore a bit, because, well, some of them says what it does, like this one for example, but many of them don't, so you'll have to play around until you find something that works for you. But this video will go through like the basic stuff that might come to use. The most used one is sprite render, which is basically just a plane or like a PNG, which is this. The default is a base sprite. It's just a blob. We can't see it right now because we didn't save anything, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Yeah. Just, I'm putting this particle wherever because it doesn't really matter. I'll name it tutorial sparkle. There we go. Now you can see the blobs. And this is the distance I was talking about the position within sphere. So if I put this to like 50, you'll see it's much bigger now. But it's still a sphere. Oh, whoa, that's 530. I'll put it to 50. It goes even bigger. You get the point. They're static right now, and we also got this warning saying system will not end on stop. This is important because basically when you spawn in a system, you're telling your computer to spawn in all these things, all these instances or whatever. And when they're done doing their thing, we want them to die. We want to remove the system, so they're not here anymore. And for that we need an operator. In here we have stuff like decay and end cap. I'm gonna grab lifespan decay. It's a simple one. Here you can see this enables particles to be destroyed by the effect. All effects should have a decay operator, usually lifespan decay. Unless you're certain that the particles will get destroyed by some other means, usually code. So unless code removes this system, we have to do it in here and like tell it, okay, when you're done, you should die, and just remove all the particles so they don't like clog up the memory somewhere. So now this is basically a system. It doesn't do much, but we have something here. Let's get some movement on this stuff. So first of all, I'll tone this down again to like 20. Actually, no, 10 is good. And from now, I want them to move out a bit. Let's do... You can do this. Or not. I'm gonna go use the speed in local system. Or not. Hold on. I think I'm missing something. That was loud. Okay, what am I missing? We might need a life duration, so let's go do that. So usually particles need a lifetime, well, to know like how long they can exist for. So we're gonna add a init float, which is basically just a single value that we can play with. This is the value, currently 0, and the output field, or like the type value, is radius, but we don't want that. So I'm changing this to life duration. And then I'm setting that to like 2. Let's see here. Is it moving now? We might need also a movement basic. It's been a while since I made this from scratch, so I apologize if it's scrappy. Well, we're learning together. There we go. Okay. Okay. So now we have basically all the rudimentary stuff for a particle. We have how many it spawns. I'm gonna lower that to like 20. And then we have initializer. We have the position within the sphere. It's moving at 100. I'll keep that for now, actually. And then we have a life duration of 2, which means, as you can see, the second they spawn, they're gonna move for 2 seconds and then disappear. And they're disappearing because of this life spawn decay, I suppose. Because if you don't have it, it's just gonna keep going. And then they will never disappear. And that is bad. So we're capping it, and we're making sure that they're only doing what they're doing here. And then at the end, they're gonna die. You can think of this as like a... not climbing order, descending order, whatever. So this is the first thing that happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. So if you add a node that is like crucial to be... Okay, this is something that we want to do last, you make sure that it's like at the end. Some nodes are less important, I guess, than the rest. Some you will notice that, okay, I need to put this in a specific order. But for now. Also, worth noting, initializer is the nodes under this category. It's basically only during spawn. This is like, it decides stuff at the beginning once. And then operator is stuff that happens during its lifetime. This stuff can be like, oh, you want to animate something over time, or you want something to happen at a later state. That you can do that under operator. The initializer we only do once in the beginning, and then it won't really... So you can't like animate stuff here, it just decides one thing and then it goes with it. If we want to do... Let's say we want to do like a scaling thing. Scale. Radius scale. This is a simple node that scales your each single particle. So let's say we want to do that. We can only do it under operator again because it happens over time. The start scale should be 1, so the radius that it's on right now. And then the end scale, let's put it like 3. So you can see that it scales up over time. You can actually put it to 0 so you can see it better. If we put something like this under initializer, it's not gonna work. And also you don't really have these kinds of nodes under initializer, so you can't really do it anyway. But you can put initialize float. What's it called? Float. You have a set float under operator, and then you have a init float under initializer. It's very easy to mix them up. They can do basically the same things, but again, the only thing that separates them is that one will only happen once and one will actually do it over time. Okay, so let's make this thing a little prettier, shall we? I'll remove that for now. I'll put this back to 1. I want the lifetime to be shorter. I also want it to like move out faster and then slow down a bit, because it's gonna be an impact, you want a little bit of oomph. So I'm gonna put the speed to 200. And also minimize, because you see the ones in the bottom here, or like in the center, they're moving slow. It's because the minimum speed is at 0. So they're moving anywhere between 0 and 200, which is the result we're getting here. So I'll put this one to 100. Now they're a bit more uniform. But they're moving off the screen very fast, so I'm gonna go into movement basic and play with drag. Drag is basically like friction in the air. So if I put this to like 1, well, it's gonna be very, very intense. So let's put it to 0, 1. A little more. Okay, it's not super visible, but it's basically slowing down over time. 3. Now you can see it. So it's got like a fast shooting out, and then it slows down a bit. And that's the result we want. Let's put it to 6. 8. Playing with particles is just changing values like this a lot until you find something that you like. We can increase the speed a little bit. And we can also change the duration to be a bit shorter. There we go. Oh, it's to the beat of the music now. We can also take back a radius scale, but instead of growing, we can make them be very small. There we go. Now it's starting to look like something. And I also want to change the bobs to something. Let's go with sparkle. Lash sparkles. Glow, maybe? Glow is pretty good. It's got a lot of stuff. Oh, like this one, maybe? Actually, let's go with this. We have this particle, you can barely see it. It's very like a specific texture, so it's hard to see in a distance. If you want to mix particles or like mix textures in the same system, but you don't want to like save another have another file and then switch out the sprites for every single thing, you can have many sprites here if you want to basically duplicate the settings or whatever. So let's copy paste that. and then switch this one out to this one maybe. Now you can see that they've basically mixed. They're layering on top of each other. But I still want the like lines at the sides to be a bit bigger, so we can go back here and then change the specific texture settings. So let's go here actually. Let's set that float. I'm gonna set, just to prove a point here. We've got a radius node here. Radius is, well, basically the size of your particle. I'll put it to 5. 10 actually, so you can see better. On initializer, so this is, okay, when you spawn you should be 10 in size. Okay, it says. And then the radius scale here in operator says, oh, but it needs to be scaled over time. And since this one is first, it's gonna say, okay, have a scale of 10, and then during operation, you should scale it down to 0.2. So the 1 here is actually, it's not 1 in size, it's actually like, I guess you can say percentage, or like, okay, this is 100% of 10. Let's scale it down to 0.2. So it, what's you call it, like additive? No? It goes off of the value that we've already set, basically. But you can go further. Or let's say I want these, like this specific texture, these lines to be more visible. Oh, you can just change the radius scale of the individual texture here. So let's set it to 2. Now you can see them. You can even set it to 4, make it even bigger. Or 10 if you so want to. But we don't want them that big, so let's go with 3. Okay. Now we got some little sparkles here. They have the exact same settings. They're all taken from the same system. They just look different. I want to randomize some colors here. So let's go to initializer and pick color random. Now it's gonna on spawn change the colors of these things to be, yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, I'm just making something simple, right? Now it's randomizing the colors. Oh, I want the, it would be nice if they faded into another color, like when they're close to disappearing. And again, it's over time, so during operation it's gonna fade. Let's take a color fade. Now you can see it fades to white. I want them to fade to like dark reddish pink. Wow. We can also change the time when it starts fading. Let's do like a fast. Why not? Something like that. Here we go. Now you might notice, oh, it looks like the particles has a bit of like black around it, which doesn't look very nice. It doesn't look very like glowy and sparkly. That's usually because particles have lighting settings. Now if I go in here, lighting preview, interior factory maybe? Yeah, here you can see, oh, it looks muddy, not very nice. It looks kind of nasty actually. This does not give a cute, glowy, sparkly feeling, but let's fix that. What else do we want to do? I want the size to be a bit less uniform, and I also want the, I guess the lines, like the glowy lines, to rotate a little bit. So we're gonna go into initializer. We already have radius, but it's only one value. We can make it randomize a bit more, so let's go into this button. You can change a bunch of settings here. I'm going to random uniform and make it varying. Now it's gonna randomize between these numbers, so I'll put 5 and 10. Now you already have some small ones and some big ones, which is nice. Perfect. We also want the rotation to be a little bit more fun. So what can we grab here? Rotate. Rotation basic, perhaps? I'll be real, I don't remember exactly what this does, so I'm gonna remove it. I think we can add like a scalar node here. Noise scalar, maybe. No. Let's add a ramp scalar thing. And here we can change the roll speed. I'm exploring a bit now, so you'll see what happens. Just as much as I will see what happens. 360. Change it back to roll. Ah, here we go. Now they're spinning like crazy. I don't need that. Let's put it down to 100 again. 110. There we go. Okay. Still a bit much, but you're getting the point. We're getting there. Let's put this to like 3. Yeah, we got a little bit of movement now. This is not perfect, by the way. I'm just like adding things that I can think of that might be useful. Sort of like a showcase particle. I also want it to be a little bit bigger in the beginning, so... Actually, if you want more control over their like quote-unquote animation, let's remove this. We can add something... Vector, I think. No. It's a float. We just want one value. A vector is 3 values, so let's say you want to change something with the color. Vector. Here you can see the difference. So a float is just 1 value, and the vector is 3 values. So here you can change stuff like color, like RGB. Radius is just, well, one thing. You can see the different things you can change here with the drop-down list. We don't need that now. So I want to animate the size of these things over time. And you can do that with a float node. You go over here, and then you do particle age 0 to 1, which is basically the percentage. And then we change this thing to a curve. And we change the value. This is basically the size. So I want them to, like, the biggest output range is 100. This is maybe a bit too much. 10. 20. Yeah. Here you can, like, play more with curves to get a more detailed animation rather than using just a radius scale. If you hold shift and click, you can add keyframes. And this is gonna change, well, how it animates. It's just like a graph, so it's quite intuitive to get into. When you play with it, you'll get a feel pretty quickly for it. You can add more keyframes if I want them to, like, flash. That's pretty cool. And again, you can like change this dynamically as much as you want. You can also right click and add the spline type, which is nice. I'm not gonna do that here because I don't feel like I need to. You can do the same thing for transparency also. So let's copy paste that and change the radius to alpha. We want to pull this down a bit so you can actually see better. We can delete some keyframes here. But yeah, here you can see that they disappear for a bit because they have 0 alpha. It's a bit hard to see what's happening, but there is alpha going on. I think it's just kind of hard to see because they're so bright, so they have to like dim down the brightness and then have like play with transparency. So the change is very fast is what I'm trying to say. But it is there. You can play with these things here. But again, if you want to do it individually, you can do it in the render sprites. Same thing here, you have alpha scale, radius scale. Just change these to collection time. And then the curve, and there you go. There you go. Oh yeah, you might want to put it to looping as well, otherwise it's just gonna play for 1 second, I think. This is the time, and this is the value, or like the amount, just like a graph. But I'm not doing that now, so I'm resetting this to default. Okay, so we have something here. I'll go back here. I'm also gonna change this. Put this to 15, why not? It's kind of random, ugly, whatever. Hey, we're doing this for fun. Anyway. So we basically have a particle here. Let's add some child particles. Let's like build something out of this. There we go. They were all going the same direction, so I just wanted to change that. We can also like put it a bit lower so it's less apparent. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we have a particle here now. This is basically it. We got it spawns 20. It spawns in a circle. I'll actually keep that a bit lower. Oh yeah, another thing. If you want to make this explosion like a bit more directional, you can do that in the speed in local system. So let's say I change this to 1000. It's gonna explode upwards. If I change it to this one, 1000, it's gonna go this way. You get the point. So you got that to play with if you want. Yeah. Okay. Let's build something. Let's build a more proper thing. I'm gonna save another one of this and do like flash. Let's remove all these. Let's remove the alpha, the radius, the rotation, the color fade. Actually, we can keep the color fade for simplicity. Radius. Yes. Let's keep it like that. I'll remove the speed stuff that I added because the flash won't be like moving around. Let's go to sprite render. Now it's adding a bunch of sprites here. It's kind of already looking like a flash, but a really ugly one. I'll change this to 0 because we want them to be centered. I'll also change the sprite to be flare of some sort. Yeah, let's go with that one. Here's a good example. Here you can clearly see the different sizes they come in. So I'm gonna change this back to... We still want them to be like a little bit of variation, so let's put it to like 12 and 14. So just a little bit. Actually, let's put it to 16 maybe. There we go. So you might be asking, okay, but this got a black background. How do I do that? Well, you can change blend modes on the sprites. There's a couple of ways to do this. Sometimes it's like, oh, all you have to do is change the lighting stuff. You can have the alpha blend here, set it to additive. So because additive, the blend mode is just so that, okay, but it removes any blackness, whatever you want to call it. I'm not so good with like explaining this stuff, but I hope it sort of makes sense. You can play around with these as much as you want. That one's kind of funky. Lighten also works. But I'll go with additive for now. I want this to float. Actually, for this we can do the radius scale thing. For simplicity's sake. I want it to start at 5 maybe? No, that's too big. 2. And scale down to scale bias. This is basically when it starts scaling. I'll put it to 8. No. 6? Something like that. Again, this is just for demonstration. So we have, let's see here. We have our particles down here. Let's open this one. Under this, we can add child particles, which is basically, okay, we're nesting another system into this one. So I'll put this one here and then search for tutorial flash. And now they're responding together. Now we can like preview what's going on. I'll go back into this one. I'll change the texture to a bit more discrete. I think I like this one. And then we can change the radius. 22. Wow, so beautiful. I want something more flashy in the middle to like make it a bit more impactful here. So I'll copy paste that, add a glow like that, and then scale it down. I'll scale it actually like this. Now you can see it disappears faster than the rest. I could do the same thing here to like make it stay a bit longer. I'll also change this to 2. I'm just doing random stuff again. Well, I want to add some cool, like, what do you want to call it? Texturing movement to the streaks in the back here. So the cool thing about this stuff, here goes one of my favorite parts about this. You can add more textures in one sprite. So how this works is basically, you have this texture, right? The flare race. If you add another texture on top of it, it's gonna it's gonna act kind of like a mask with these default textures. You can see if I do this square. I don't know, this one. You can see that this mask, the white part is where it's visible, the black part is where it's not visible. Since it's a gradient, you can see that there's more stuff up here than down here. If I add this square, well, it's gonna become red because this image is red. And if I add this, you can see that it's gonna become basically an outline because this texture is a white square outline. So that's pretty cool. You can take it even further by adding a noise. This is where the good stuff comes in. Let's take this one's pretty fun. You can see that there's a bit of noise going on here, but we want movement on it. Let's change the life duration so you can actually see what's happening. Okay. Under texture controls, we have a bunch of stuff here. First of all, I'm gonna change this one to UV distortion infinite zoom. This one is fucking crack, dude. I love this thing. It goes together with the infinite zoom scale. So again, you can change the animation over time. I'll do a multiply for simplicity's sake. You can see that it's moving a little bit. I'll change the distortion amount to like 2, maybe. It's not super visible right now. I'll change this one back to something more visible, like this one. Now you can see it. So there's a bit... So this, like, wispy noise is basically reflected inside of the base texture. So it's like a distorted layer on top of this one. Again, we can change this one. So infinite zoom scale is like speed, basically, how fast you want it to be. But I kind of like the look, something like that. And distortion amount is just how distorted it's gonna be. Don't want it to be too intense, so I'll put it to 4. We can also change the texture scale. I don't usually use this, but it's useful sometimes. Yeah. There we go. We cannot see the glow in the middle now. So I'll go back here and wonder what other textures we have here. You can just preview and again, like, grab whatever you want. Grab something that you think look cool. Oh, the color mix in this one is really nice. Let's use that, actually. Change the duration again. Actually, for this one, I don't want it to size down, so I'm gonna... Actually, no, I'll keep it, but I'll make it so it doesn't go back to, like, 0. Is this the right one? It is. It could be radius scale, yeah. Let's change this to 1. Here we go. And I'm gonna change this to 3, so there's a bit of movement still. There we go. I'll change this one to 3 so that I can change this. Yeah, something like that. It doesn't matter too much. But I also wanted to fade away a little bit, so I'll add another one on alpha scale. Put a curve, and then do something like this, so that it fades away a bit faster. Because I don't want this like little lingering effect. It removes the feeling a little bit. Here we go. Okay, what does this look like? Pretty alright. Now I want to change the sparkles to match this one a bit better, so I'll do that real quick. Also, if you want to add gravity to your stuff, which I'll do now, it's under movement basic. We have a gravity here. It's directional, so I'll put this one to like minus 100. Minus 200? Minus 500. There you go. Now you can see that they fall down when after they've... The velocity is still like the first thing, so they shoot out and then they start falling down a little bit. I can put the life duration to be a bit more randomized as well. Varying, I want them to be like 1 second to 2 seconds. That's a bit too long, so let's take 3 and 1. Nice. I'll also change this one to be higher. Good stuff. Also want to change the texture of this one again. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, I like this one. But they're way too big, so... Here we go. What I think is fun about VFX is that you'll start somewhere, it'll look kind of weird, but over time, the more you start iterating, it will actually look better and better, and it's like more fun. It's also kind of dangerous, I think, because you'll notice that you'll have a lot of like iterations that you want to save. It's like going through a bunch of filters in a drawing program, and you're like, oh, this one's cool, I want to save it. Oh, this one's cool, I want to save it. But try to keep on track and trust in the process. You can save them if you want, of course, but there's gonna be a lot of like stuff laying around that you don't know where to use it. Or you can put them in a folder and use them later. It's up to you. Okay, well, I feel like I've connected these two. They have the same colors. We got like a big flash down here and then stuff coming out of it. But I want one more element that I think is gonna bring these together. And that is basically a ring. So I'll take this. and save it again. Tutorial ring. I'll remove these and reset these. And then I'll change the flare texture to a ring. What do we want here? I want kind of a visible one, sort of like this. Because it's gonna go outwards. This one I'll actually change to a single value. And I want the radius scale. I'll remove that one actually and put a float. And over time, put a curve. There we go. I'll put it a bit lower so it fades. Something like that. I'll put the color fade to this bluish that we had. Yeah. And then color random. Oh, also, if you don't want to use like color random or color fade, you can go into base properties. This is like the core node. This is where like all the basic stuff happens. You can change the color here if you want to, but I usually don't because I think it's more fun and dynamic to use nodes. You can also change the color of the particle here. But if you already have a color in the earlier nodes, it's gonna blend on top of it. So let's say I have this color random. We have yellow. Let's make this blue. It's not a great example. Let's take this here and let's change the color random to like reddish. Now you can see that it's starting to change hue a little bit because there's already something underneath. Here you can see that it's supposed to be blue, but it turns pinkish because it already has a pinkish color earlier in the stack. So yeah, we don't necessarily need that. We can just go with this actually. Yes. Or no, actually, I don't want to do that because I want to use the color fade, and that happens before the sprite, so I'll just go back to this. For simplicity's sake. There we go. Okay. I still have this on. I think I'll keep it, but I'll make it way less obtrusive. So it's like slow and nice. I think the ring is a bit follow. I want to move it a bit to the other side. So it kind of, it's like two rings, one clockwise and one counterclockwise. It's a small like detail effect that I think is nice. Now you can see that it's trying to counter it a little bit by going up here, the little spike. If I put it to 3, it's gonna do it even more. If I put it to 10, 20. Oh, maybe I'm doing it the wrong way. There we go. Okay, it's minus. Now we have a nice result here. Can lower it a bit. Okay. I will also change the ring a bit. I'm gonna play around, see if we have any other nice looking ones. I might want to play around with like a double ring actually, because I really like these thin like dissolving rings. I think they're very pretty. This one's also pretty cool. The fucking spell circles, they're always awesome. What does this look like? Oh, it's so clean. I love it. We can add 2. Actually, no. This is stupid. Let's add... how many are we spawning? 20. But they're all at the same radius. So... let's add back the random one. We can't see a change here for one specific reason. Again, initializer comes before operator, so this should be what they're using. You should be seeing like differently sized rings right now. However, because we have the radius curve here that is animating over time, set value method, it's set to set value. So it's basically saying, okay, override the original value. We're using this one. And I set it to 100. So all of them are size 100 right now. If we want to add on top of... usually it does it by default. But for this specific node, we want to change the set value to scale initial value. Now you can see it's... well, they're fucking flying away. So it's a bit too big. But now you can see there's actually... let's see, there we go. Now you can actually see that there's different size rings, which is what we want. You can also put add to initial value. Depends a bit on what you want to do, of course. But I'll keep this for now. Let's see here. I think there's a way to like... I don't remember how, but there's a way to like uniform them at the end, so all the values basically, they start off different size but then move to one single size at the end. I'll skip it for now because I can't remember how to do it, but... let's see here. I also want alpha, or sorry, float. I want the alpha to be random, varying. Actually, I'm noticing an issue here. You can see that we're spawning a bunch of circles, but it's applying this texture to all of them, so it still looks very uniform. Just there's just a bit of gaps between them. So let's actually let's put this back to. Oops. Let's put this back to 20. 24. Yeah. Let's put it back there, and then under here. I'll make another one, and make it a bit smaller, like I did before. I hesitated on this, but I actually wanna do it now. I'll go under collection time, curve. Let's copy paste that so I don't have to redo the curve again. And then change the output to... no, let's keep it. Let's keep it, but I'll make this one a little smaller. I'll also make this one a little brighter, because why not? And yeah. Now we can see that they're scaling up a bit too slow. I want it to be a bit faster, so let's change that. It's still a bit slow. I'm not entirely happy with it yet. Let's put it to 3. And let's change the inner circle to be a bit more visible. Maybe I'll just keep that one circle. I think it's too much with the rest. That one's also kind of nice. Maybe I'll do this. This is just exploration part. This is the part where you do whatever you want to make it look nice to you. You know what? I think I'll keep it like this for now, and I'll show you instead how to put it in the game. So I think that would be cool. I'll change the life duration to be a bit shorter. Same for this. Like that. And flash can be 0.8. Something like that. That's pretty cute. Okay, so we want to put this on something. I'm going to find a muscle flash. I wonder if I have it decompiled actually. Let's take a peep. Muscle flash. Dormant muscle flash. I do not have it here, but let's decompile it real quick so I can actually like put it on this one so we can preview it on Doorman. Let's see here. Particles. It's under weapon, I think. Yes, particles, weapon effects. Weapon effects. Doorman. What's it called? Dormant muscle flash. Dormant muscle flash. It's right here. Decompile. And then we put it in here. Particles. Weapon effects. We need, since this is an in-game original particle, I'm matching the folder structure. There we go. Now you can see it appeared here, so we can open it. Don't worry about Doorman looking like that, it's fine. You can see the gun here, it's just fucked up. Okay, so let's do what we did earlier. We'll take this one. And put it as a child. Tutorial sparkle. Yes. It's in a different directory, but that's fine. As long as we include all the things in the final pack, it's still gonna read, because we're setting up the file paths here. So yes. Wow. Now you can see it spawns on the gun. But it's really freaking big though. So I'm just gonna hijack this for simplicity's sake. Disable all that and put the radius to like... Right, it doesn't work that way. I'm still disabling those, but let's change the radius to much smaller. Change the flash radius to like 12, 14, and the ring to like 14, something like that. It's still very big. You can also see now, remember how I put a directional velocity upwards on this particle up here. This is being displayed here as it's going like to the side, and that is probably most likely because the stuff attaches to his muscle flash attachment, and this attachment has axis, so chances are it's actually rotated to this direction. So like up is actually to the left here, or to the right, I suppose. So for this I'll go remove the directional stuff. It doesn't really make sense here. But yeah, here we have something to preview it on. I've hijacked Doorman's muscle flash, so every time he shoots, this is gonna happen. Let's save all of these. And then let's go to the folder where you find them. This one and this one. Close that down. I'll just grab these real quick. I'm packaging the mod now. Let's see here. Particles. Weapon effects. I'll put this here while I'm... let's see here. I have my test folder here under particles, so I'll put this here as well. Good stuff. And then I'll go here, create VPK, add folder, test mods. I'll remove these because, well, I don't need them right now. Let's save that. Let's put it to 99. There we go. So now we have a pack here. I'll close this down. Let me open Steam. We'll go into game, Citadel add-ons, put it in here. Alright, let's see what this did. I'll swap to Doorman. Let's go in here. Please work. Wow! It's beautiful. Congrats, you have just made your new muscle flash. It's way too big, and it stays in place, which is fine. Some things do that, but we could also like put nodes in the system that says, okay, but you should follow this specific control point. I'll probably do a different tutorial for that because it goes through a bunch of stuff, but yeah, here you go. Here's your particle. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, or at least I hope you found it useful. It's a bit long, but it does take a while to create stuff from scratch, so all I can say is good luck with your endeavors, and I hope you come back for more tutorials that might happen in the future. I still need to finish Bat, Drifter, Lamau. But I wanted to do something smaller to kind of get back into the recording tutorial vibe, you know? But yeah. If you have any questions, drop them below and I'll try to answer them the best that I can. But do keep in mind that every particle is different, and depending entirely on what you want to do, you're gonna have to go different ways to get to a result. The methods is gonna vary a lot, but I did go through quite a bunch of things that you can like apply to what you want to do. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.